Hi there, Diecast fans. What we have here is a 2001 Mini Cooper in 1:18 scale by Maisto. Retro designing was very much trendy back then in the mid-90s to the early 2000s. Remember the Volkswagen Beetle in 1998 when it was first introduced in the market, or the Chevrolet HHR or the Plymouth Prowler, to name a few. Those cars just look behind for the previous generations or previous designs, and then they revived it in the early 2000s to look modern and trendy at the same time. So it's gonna be a novelty car and tribute to the success of those previous generation or older models of those cars. So there's no better choice to introduce the new Mini to the market is to go backwards, or let's just say inspired by the previous or the original Mini Cooper during the 1960s. So making a retro styling Mini Cooper introducing in the early 2000s was not a bad idea for the Mini brand. Actually, it's such a big hit. People around the world, when they see this car, even though it's new, they will easily recognize this as the Mini Cooper. And for the viewers who are Mini Cooper enthusiasts right there, yes, this is the first Mini Cooper that was designed and produced by BMW. Since BMW bought them in the early 90s, acquiring the Mini brands. So there's gonna be an English styling on it, and at the same time with the German underpinnings or engineering underneath the stylish body of this car or diecast model. Now for the diecast model itself, as far as I can remember, this diecast model was offered back in 2001, the same year the Mini Cooper was introduced in the automotive industry. And the price for this diecast model, they Maisto offered this as a special edition, I think around 25 to 30 US dollars back then for this 1:18 scale. Now, enough about the history and how I acquired this diecast model. Let's take a dive on how Maisto designed and produced this diecast model. And of course, beginning on the front, as always. So you can see there the headlight, which is very recognizable for the Mini Cooper or the Mini Coopers back then. But as time goes by, the chrome trim right there on the headlight itself starts to fade because of the age of the diecast. I often touch this or maybe polish this car during back then in 2001. Of course, there's gonna be some deterioration for those chrome trim metallized plastic parts right there. And fortunately, the grill doesn't affected by the deterioration for the shiny chrome bits or shiny parts for the grill. So that's okay. Alongside also on the right side of the headlight, and you can easily recognize the Mini brand right there. Now, back then, Maisto was still in transition of using a tampo for their brands to cut cost, or maybe it's gonna be the wise decision just to make those kind of, like, especially the stickers which peels as it deteriorates as time pass by. So you could definitely tell, look at that, it's the Mini brand that's going to fly away from the hood itself. And going to the bumper, you could see there the European license plate, the texturized grille, you could see the shiny grille right there. So there's the chrome trim also on the bumper. They never forget the chrome trims of this car because Mini Coopers is all about that during the 1960s. And you could also see there the fog lamps right with the peg on it. You see it wiggle. Maisto still has some development for the quality control for the diecast models, but it's still very nice and very tidy at the same time. Except for this, the bumper has some crooked lines on it if you look closely. But then again, that's Maisto's approach for the Mini Cooper, and yet those things that I've just said were not that obvious. Since we're in the front part of this diecast, it would be an obvious choice to reveal also the engine bay of this diecast model. So we don't need any prying tool, just lift the clamshell hood right there, and they're gonna reveal, I think this is gonna be a 1.6 liter engine, since this is the Mini Cooper, not the Mini 1. So there gonna be some writings on there. This is not a sticker, just a warning label that is painted on the plastic part. And going to the valve cover right there, I think if you can see there, there's also said Mini right there on the valve cover. So you could see there the air intake the plumbings and the air hose and some parts of the engine, I think, for the electricals, and some bottle reserves for the fluids for the vehicle itself. And you can see there, right there, is the radiator. Now going to the front detailing of those front tires for this diecast model. So you definitely see, at first glance, you could see the center caps right there. It says Mini. Now, Maisto also included the entire braking system with the additional brake caliper and the rotor disc, but unfortunately, the rotor disc doesn't rotate with the wheel itself. But that's okay. This is a low-end model. That's quite understandable. And you can also see there the profile of the tires. There's no branding on it. I think this is the year that Maisto stops making the tire brands for the diecast model. I don't know, they didn't acquire those license to put those tires again, but it's back on the newer diecast model from Maisto. And you can also see there the fender flarings. This is made out of plastic, this is made out of diecast metal, and this is made out of, I think, plastic also. It's not the best looking fender flarings for the wheel arch, but it's there. It's decent and tidy at the same time. Maisto also included the side markers and that fake grill right there. It's just texturized, not an actual grill. Now going to the side profile of this diecast model, so you could see the door, of course, obviously. So, like I said before, the quality control of Maisto when it comes to chrome trims, I hardly touch this doorknob right there, but the shiny part on it, the chrome parts on it, just removed or gone already. So there's no way to restore that. Maybe some special paints for the hobby shops can revive those things or repair it. So you can see that the gas filler, and this is quite a nice touch for Maisto for the quarter glass, for the rear glass itself. They painted it outside. It looks really convincing with that matte texture on it. And you could also see the rear wheels for this diecast model with the Mini branding on the center cap, with the same treatment for the braking system from the front with the caliper and the rotor disc right there. And going to the rear part of this diecast model, you can easily recognize the bright tail lamp itself, made out of two parts, I think. It's a transparent red and orange amber on it. It really looks shiny and really looks decent at the same time, with a chrome trim on the outside of the tail lamp assembly. Now the chrome part, like I said before, starts to deteriorate. So if you look closely on the video itself, there's a fading and peeling away of those chrome trims. And you could also see the Mini Cooper branding on it. This is made out of stickers, so cleaning this is going to be a hassle. Yes, except for the Mini or the Cooper branding for the tailgate. It's a tampo, so it's going to be safe, except for the Mini brand right there. So European license plate, as you can see. There's also a chrome garnish and the chrome trim for the rear bumper and the reverse light on the middle, and also the chrome tailpipe. Now let's take a peek what's inside the rear hatch of this diecast model. So we lift the tailgate itself. We could use our hands or maybe just a little bit help for the prying tool itself, and they're gonna greet you. But at least it's not colored in black. I think it's gonna be a combination of a German gray. At the same time, there's really nothing to see, but well, quite detailed. Like for instance, for the plastic trim above the bumper itself, you could see also the cover and also the rear seats. So it's an adequate detailing for Maisto, in my opinion. So what's inside this diecast model for the interior detailing? So there you go. As you can see, the dashboard and the pinnacle for the driver or the gauges is right there in the middle of the dashboard, and those painted buttons for the center console. And as you can see there are gonna be 3 pedals. It has a stick shift or a manual transmission. Now let's take a peek on the sidings itself. It really looks contemporary at the same time. They use, I think, 3 or 4 shades of color. They're gonna be a red ones, a silver ones, and this is a bit of a combination of a brown and a little bit of purple at the same time, and then a darker silver and a dark gray on it. So Maisto didn't cut costs when it comes to paint detail for the door cards for this diecast model. Now going back again to the seats and the center console and the handbrake, which in my opinion is well accurately delivered by Maisto in terms of proportion for the diecast model. And I almost forgot that this is one of the first Maisto that I've ever seen with the detailed headliner. So you could see there the sun visor and the rear view mirror itself. Now there's gonna be lots going on with the buttons itself. Maybe it's for the dome light or map light at the same time. So I think this diecast model was planned to have a sunroof on it, but it never came, since as you can see there, this is gonna be it's going just to have a glossy black roof on it. So at least they included those minor detail. Now marching in on the right front passenger of this diecast model, interior. So you can see there the design Q speedometer in the middle of the dashboard. You could also see some buttons painted on the center console again, and an additional cup holder right there just before the gear selector itself, and some additional buttons at the rear of the gear selector right there in the middle of the handbrake. That really I really don't know what's the function of those things. Who cares? And you can also see the texturized floor mats for the flooring. It's hardly to be seen since it's colored the same of the flooring itself. Now I have to give credits for Maisto for including or switching to a different color palettes for the two-tone seats, including also on the rear. They also have done that. Now this is I think a combination of a darker purple with a shade of brown on it. So there's an additional effort for Maisto, even though they could have put it a different shade of gray at the same time. That's okay, but they did this for a certain purpose. I have to give credits for them for that additional effort. Now let's take a peek at the underpinnings of this diecast model. So we lift the diecast model itself. You can see there the shiny chrome exhaust assembly down below of this diecast model. So you can definitely see there's suspension assembly for the rear part of it, and I think this is going to be the gas tank, and not this. I think, and some additional protection for the exhaust system, colored, of course, rendered in chrome, and the transaxle itself, and the additional engine detailing for the under chassis of this diecast model. So there's really not much to see, just a big black plastic slab, but it's there. So my verdict for Mini Cooper fans or just a fan of the retro styling cars back in 2000s, this is definitely a must-have for you, since Maisto did a fantastic effort with some minor flaws or quality issues, since this is a low-budget model. Now, Maisto doesn't offer this to their catalog for a very long time, so your only chance to acquire one of these is going to be on the second-hand market. But this diecast really stood the test of time when it comes to durability at some aspects, but not all of it. You can see, like I said before, those chrome trims starts to deteriorate. That's a iconic part of the Mini Coopers. So you have to consider those things. And also, this is not a bad diecast for the price that you paid. This is not a rare diecast itself, but it's really quite nice, really tidy and cute. Small 1:18 scale representation of the modern Mini Cooper. Yes, this is not a perfect diecast model, but what a joy owning this diecast model. So guys, thank you for watching, and I hope this entertains you and helps you when acquiring a 1:18 Mini Cooper from Maisto. And have a nice day.